Parnell was a master manipulator. He chose the areas that were remote, where people probably didn't even know about Stephen's disappearance in Merced. Parnell allowed Stephen to come and go as he pleased, and also allowed him to start drinking, smoking, and driving his car. By now, more than 5 years had passed since his kidnapping, and he had been brainwashed day in and day out by Parnell. Stephen's memories of his life before would have been faded, so yes, he did have more freedom. But it was freedom framed by a cage of lies. There was something mysterious about him. And the neighbors, they felt that. There was some intuition that they felt in their gut, and they kept their distance. So Stephen's friends were never allowed over to his home. So Stephen would always meet them at the end of the drive or wherever they were hanging out. His friends just figured his dad was really strict, and they never really suspected that Stephen was probably hiding something. So after a while, Stephen adapted to this life, and he probably just didn't have capacity to think of anything outside of it. Parnell had convinced him that his parents didn't want him. For years, Stephen believed this lie, and what else could he do? Again, he accepted his new life. This was his normal. Obviously, Stephen had thought many times about running away, but when you're so young, the manipulation is so severe that he just couldn't. He can't give into his fear. Parnell's brainwashing didn't end with Stephen's parents not wanting him. He made Stephen afraid of him. There was abuse involved. And to give Stephen this freedom to let him play with his friends, saying, you see, this isn't so bad. You have some freedom. This is great. And he even got Stephen a dog. The dog's name was Queenie. I mean, Stephen was like, okay, this isn't too bad. This was all he knew. And if he left, he wasn't really sure what he would go back to. So he stayed. So Kay Steiner, Stephen's mother, the fight was far from over. For 2 or 3 years, she refused to leave the house unless someone was there to answer the phone in case Stephen called. And theories began to swirl as the years passed on. Kay and Dal heard rumors that Stephen had been killed or dumped into a sewer. Another man falsely confessed to killing and burying Stephen. But after investigating, police concluded that this was just a false confession. And as Stephen grew older, the rape he endured continued. It wouldn't be long before Parnell would move him again to prevent Stephen from telling his friends about it. The more bonds that Stephen formed, the closer he got to others, the more risk Parnell was. He and Stephen moved to Point Arena in 1979 or 1980. And this was around when Stephen was 13 years old, and he was enrolled in the local high school. Once again, Parnell had chosen a small, remote place to hide out where nobody knew about Stephen's disappearance. In Point Arena, Stephen was secluded. He was stuck inside one room.